Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, this is Josh Crum from Downtrend, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Get it?
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews, and today it's an honor and a privilege to have my buddy back, Mr. Josh Crum of Downtrend, and Pike County's very own rock metal band Downtrend is set to release their EP4, which will be released on September 13th. The EP is the follow-up to their previous EP, Southern Fried Hell Ride Live, and plus One Stop Sin Shop. We get talking to Josh about all that good stuff and plus other stuff we got coming up. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How you doing? Appreciate you having me on.
No problem whatsoever. So you guys have kind of been off the grid a little bit, but you're doing your own thing, doing some shows and things like that, and now you got the EP coming out. This is the EP entitled for, so today's music the way it is, some bands only get to put out just an EP and then an album, and they're gone, Josh. And I mean, you guys have put out several, but how does it feel to be able to put out an EP versus way today is independently? And it's rough. It is very rough.
Yeah, it's a lot harder these days. I mean, we live in a digital world, in a streaming world where people basically will click on the single, listen to the single, then move on to the next band. You know, a lot of people, unless they're diehard fans, rarely buy the full album anymore and really enjoy that. So with that in mind, our business model's changed a little. You know, we were signed for about a decade, and we put out 2 full-length albums then. And since then, we've released 1 live EP, and now this EP right here. So our theory is we released, like, one of the songs on this EP was released last year. So there is one song that's previously released. But our theory was, let's record a song or two, then record, 2 or 3, and then do a collection and put those out in physical form to where they can be bought as a collection all at once or in physical format. So we're trying to stay current with the business model to, releasing singles that really can generate more buzz for that one song. And then once a few singles have been released, bam, then release them as a collection on a physical format that you can physically buy and own, or you can buy the collection, with one click of the button.
Are you guys more along the lines of the EP route, or do you want the full-length albums, or no?
Me personally, I prefer full-length albums.
Yeah.
But, being an independent artist, when you're paying for your own studio time, you're paying for your own packaging and things like that, which is where we are now that we're no longer with the record label. It's a lot safer to do the EP because it doesn't cost as much in studio time to record so many songs at once. When honestly, I mean, even your biggest artists, Slipknot just released a new record. I love every song on it. But 8 out of 10 listeners are going to listen to that first single, the second single, third single, and they're going to really enjoy those 3. But then when the album drops, they've shot their wad. Honestly, the way the business cycle works these days, the album dropping is kind of the grand finale. And after that, it's kind of over. Then you start touring. So that's why I have the theory of release a single or 2, then release the album together. It's kind of the same thing, but just in a more spaced out time. And rather than recording 10 songs, we'll do 4 or 5 per EP and then release those and then move on to the next one.
Has anything impressed or excited you about making the EP4? I mean, I know these are songs that we're sitting there and finally just came fruition for an EP, but is there anything that sticks out for you about this?
Yeah. One thing about 4 that we're excited about is it features a totally new song that we've never even played live. Most bands at a regional level, you've played these songs live for years before you recorded them, and we're no different than that. The album has 4 songs on it. 1 was previously released last year as a single. 1, roll the credits, we've played live for probably 5 years.
Oh yeah, easily.
Another, Wasted, we've played live for probably 5 or 6 years. So it's nice to finally have those recorded and kind of in the books, so to speak, so we can move on. But at the same time, we've got an all-new song called The Battle Lost that we're really excited about that no one's ever heard before outside of close friends and the band.
You don't have anything written right now. This is just all new stuff that's getting put on on this EP. There's nothing.
No. We got stuff down the pike. We got songs written. We're ready to record a few more very shortly. We have probably another EP's worth is pretty much 75% written. It could be within another 2 years. We probably could have another EP coming out. That's kind of why I like this format. Rather than collecting 10 or 12 songs at a time and waiting 5-6 years between releases, we can do 4 in a 2-year span and keep it more current and fresh that way.
How long did it take to write and complete this EP for you guys?
Well, the writing, typically, like I said, some of these songs we've been playing live for 5 years. So, I mean, we typically can write a song in a few rehearsals and get happy with it. And, like most bands, if it's something that we're not overly excited about, we drop it. If 2 or 3 rehearsals in, all 4 members aren't excited about a track, we'll just kind of forget about it, move on to the next one. But, yeah, so once we like one, we stick to it. We typically will start playing it live immediately and kind of work the kinks out live, see how the crowd reacts to it, watch video of it live, and kind of, that's kind of our demo, so to speak. Watch the video, see what we like or don't like about it, make changes. That's why we're kind of excited about the Battle Lost. It's totally new for us to release a song that no one's ever heard before.
I want to go back here and talk about this just a little bit because we were talking about this before the interview about the streaming deal and making money and things like that. Do you guys... And you talked about just releasing one single at a time, but do you find it more appropriate just to release the EP and then sell it $5 physical copy than just releasing it as a single at a time and making money that way if possible?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, to be honest, in the music world the way it is today, it's hard to make money on studio albums. I don't care if you're Metallica. It's hard to make money. The business model right now typically is that bands are touring to make money, and they're putting out new albums to promote the tour, whereas back in the day, it was the opposite. You would tour to promote the record. You want to sell these albums. It's not really like that anymore because no one's really making money on albums. They're just not. By the time we pay studio time, production fees, getting the albums packaged, we're not really going to make any money on this record. But we are artists. We love to paint. Writing songs is our portrait, and it feels satisfying to have them. And we do want those people that support the band to have something that they can listen to, something physical that they can keep of ours to always have and listen to when they want to,
And it's so crazy that folks are very short-minded on music these days. It's like, well, here's these 3 songs, and then like 3 months later or 4, it's like, well, are they going to come out with anything else possibly in the next few months?
Absolutely.
It's like, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it's changed so much.
It has.
And, back when we were growing up, I'm 39. When I grew up in the 80s and 90s, you would totally digest an album. Yeah. I mean, the whole song. You knew every track. You knew all the words. And it's just simply not that way anymore. So we're trying to, I prefer, personally, I would love to do full-length records and keep the business model as it was. But it just isn't financially secure anymore to do it that way. We're very happy with this model. We'll probably release a new single within a year, but I'm saying a new compilation of, 4, 5, 6 songs will probably be within the next few years because that's what our mindset is to release a few singles, group them together, release an EP.
Yeah, very much so. It's so crazy on how things have changed. I'll be 40 in October, so I'm right there with you. Used to you would find out about bands and I've said this a million times through Revolver Magazine or Hit Parader or something like that, and then nowadays you can just got YouTube and Facebook and all the social media stuff right at the tip of your fingers and go find out anything about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier to find new music. The internet has done so much to make it to where anyone can get their music out there. There's a platform for anyone. But at the same time, when there's a platform for anyone, it's hard to find that diamond in the rough. It's hard to find the one that sticks out because there's so many to sift through. So it has its, its advantages and its weaknesses both ways.
It's like YouTube. There's YouTube is a niche for anybody. There's always something on YouTube for anybody out there. And you can make all kinds of money off of it. It just depends on what you're putting out, what content you have out there. It blows my mind on how you can do a job from YouTube.
By the way, good job on your interview with William Duvall of
Thanks,
Alice in Chains last week. I was listening to that, and he said something on there that really resonated with me because I feel the same way. I think Downtrend as a band feels that way. He told you that he recorded his new album essentially in one day.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't include post-production and everything, but he essentially went in with an acoustic guitar, recorded. He's like, there's no sense in spending weeks and weeks and weeks on songs that I can record right in one day. I could go in and play these songs, sing them. I could sing them 20 times where it would sound the same as the first time. Why? That's essentially how we recorded our album. We went in. It's kind of a live demo. We went in as a group, old school, and performed the songs together, and minus the vocals, and we just recorded all at once until we found a take we were happy with. I'm proud to say it only took like 2 takes per song. And we was like, this take. I'm happy with it. Then we went into a little bit more of a post-production with it to where we would go in, record the vocals separate over top of what was just recorded. Then I could go in and do a guitar solo over the rhythm tracks right then. So, but they're essentially 75% live. Go back, overdub the parts that we want, add the harmonies to it, whatever. But, we recorded 3 of the 4 songs in like 3 hours. It's pretty impressive, but it doesn't... Would I like to spend more time on them? Of course. But at the same time, it's unnecessary sometimes also. Especially if you're a real meat and potatoes kind of band, and we are. We're not putting together a Tool or a Rob Zombie style album with a whole lot of outside things going on. So, we're real happy with it.
And he mentioned something else, too. He said that he didn't have a lot of time to waste on these songs he was recording. And that kind of like blew my mind, but in a way it did, but it didn't. After I started thinking about it, I was like, well, wait a minute. I guess it is right, because you're constantly on tour with Alice in Chains, and you're doing stuff with Alice in Chains, and now you're set to this, so I could see that now. Yeah,
but I agree with him 100%. We recorded this locally. We recorded with 25 Studios right here in Pikeville, Kentucky, with Tony Bruce Mullins. He engineered it for us, and then he spent a few days post production, just mixing things or EQing and stuff like that. And I went back 2 or 3 times and worked with him on changing some parts, or editing this or that, or kind of getting them to where we're 100% happy with them. But we're really happy with how it turned out, and I think fans are going to like it.
Do you have any songs standing out more to you than any right now on the EP? I know they change every time you listen to it, every time you start to talk about it, but do you have any that stick out for you possibly, man?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, The Battle Lost is the new song. So obviously we're going to push that. We're excited for people to hear it and get their feedback. I think it's going to go down really good live. It's kind of got some chant kind of parts to it that I think people can sing along with. But I got to say, when I listen to the album through, I don't know if it's because we've played it for so many years, but Roll the Credits sounds phenomenal. Mike recorded his harmonica parts in 1 take, and Tony, he EQ'd those suckers just to a T, man. They sound so raunchy and big. It sounds like no harmonica you've ever heard in your life. For one, it's tuned down to C, so it's very low already anyway. He has to special order his harmonicas to fit our tuning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's so raunchy and heavy, but at the same time it's harmonica. It's kick-ass. I can't wait for people to hear how good it sounds on the album. We're really proud of it.
I'm going to ask this question, and it may not even make no sense, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs on this EP that you guys wanted to push first off of it to get out there for folks to hear?
No, like I said, not really. We knew that The Battle Lost is the new song. Roll the Credits. I just mentioned how great it sounds. I'm very proud of it. I think the whole band's proud of it. But we know that fans have also heard that song live for 5 years. So we want to push the new product, the new song that no one's familiar with, and get a feedback on that for sure.
So what do you hope everyone takes away from Downtrend's music when they start listening to it, man? What do you hope everybody gets from it?
It's a good question. As a group, all we really want to do is have fun and stand out a little bit. We think we do stand out a little bit. Like I mentioned just a second ago, Mike plays harmonica. How many heavy metal bands play harmonica? I mean, Black Sabbath had a few songs. Ozzy does it occasionally solo. There's not a whole lot of harmonica in heavy metal. We think we have a unique sound for that reason, and also we've always considered ourselves heavy melodic riffs with southern groove. We have always kind of seen ourselves as a southern rock heavy metal band. The only band I kind of would put on par with is maybe like Texas Hippie Coalition. We've played with them a few times, and it's a really good fit because their crowd really enjoys us. So I think we have, but we just want to stand out and be a little bit different,
This was recorded at 25 Studios and engineered by Tony Mullins. How was working with Tony on this with you guys?
Tony's great, man. He's a laid-back dude. He's not anyone that's going to push the wheel on you that you should do this or do that. He'll give you his opinion if you ask for it. If you say, hey, Tony, does this guitar, we call it pickled. Does this solo sound a little pickled in places? Should it, is the pitch not really there? He'll give you his opinion, but all in all, he lets us do our own thing. He knows we've been around for a long time. He sits in there. He's behind the board. He's pushing and pulling, but all in all, he leaves the decision making to us. But it's a fun place to record, and it's local, so we don't have to travel real far, which helps a lot. Or if he is mixing and he's got a question, I can pop in there. I can be there in 5 minutes. That helps a lot, versus when we were signed to the record label in Tennessee, it's a 2.5 hour drive to get down there to work on anything. And that was always kind of, it was hard to make it, to go back and forth and really get anything done that way.
We got another good producer around here who's just, I guess, started around the last couple of years is John Chaney. Another guy is awesome.
I didn't even know John was recording until probably 2 weeks ago. It was brought to my attention that he's been recording people, and I heard some high praise on him, actually. So maybe we'll work with him in the future. You never know, because I definitely heard some good things on him.
Yeah, John's a really good producer, man. I've seen his growth from the Mirrored Image albums that's out right now, and he's grown as a producer, and he's always talking to me about doing other things, and he's not stopped, from growing, and that's good.
Well, our former Jeremy Justice, who played bass for Downtrend for about 7 years, he's recording also.
All right, there
I
you go.
think he calls his Dark Side Studio. So there's some more options even local than what there used to be.
So you did the artwork for the album too?
I did. I'm very proud of it.
What did you want to specifically go for on this album, or did it just we're just going to call 4, or let's talk about that a little bit.
That's a good question. I know the title 4 seems bland initially, but just trying to think of something very creative, something clever for an album title, and just trying to think of something from maybe Appalachia or 606, something that was home to us. And I was kind of coming up flat, and for some reason 4 just came to my mind so vividly because it's our 4th commercial release. There's 4 band members, 4 songs. Black Sabbath had an album called Volume 4. Danzig 4. I just thought, you know what? 4. There's 4 of us. We're a team, And once I kind of did a quick concept of the album art, it was so simple but powerful. I fell in love with it. The album cover has our logo, the Downtrend logo, with a giant 4 behind it in bright red, and the background is black. And you can see the song titles going backwards in the background. And when you flip the album over, you can see the song titles. Then in the background of that, you have the 4 backwards and Downtrend backwards. It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I kept thinking of Danzig 4. When I kept seeing the 4, I kept thinking of Danzig 4.
So we just thought it fit. 4 songs, 4 band members, 4th commercial release. Let's go for it. For it, see? See what I did there?
A lot of 4s in there.
Yeah.
Do you see this band still musically growing from where it started? I know you've had members come and go, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you guys? And I know that you want to have more practice time and everybody come together, but do you still see it growing, man?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. We are getting older. We're all 40-ish, and musically, there's daylight and dark between that and, say, our first, demo that we recorded in 2004. I'm very proud of those albums also, but if I hear something we've written more recently compared to that, the growth is exponential, and there's no doubt about that. So yeah, I definitely think, and as far as a band, we've made a decision. We do have families, we do work day jobs. We have decided to play less, but at the same time, everything's bigger. So for example, we used to go drive 3 hours to play in front of 15 people in an empty dive somewhere, and we loved it. But at the same time, it wasn't overly productive. We've kind of cut that out. We're picking and choosing when and where we play a little bit more selectively. And really, our focus going forward, we've decided this as a band together, and I 100% am comfortable with it, is we're going to really focus more on songwriting and putting out albums. Because that's, again, like I said earlier, we're artists, and that's our portrait.
And you guys recently, over the past year, have opened up for the Iron Maidens and plus Motley Crue too.
Yeah, typically that's what we do. We'll travel the region and open for artists who's coming through, and we'll warm up the crowd for them. We've found a really good niche lately with tribute bands because there's killer money in it. And where there's killer money, there's killer crowds. So we've been doing, we play a lot at the Mercury Ballroom in Louisville, Kentucky. We'll open for tribute bands there, and we'll make killer money on merch. I mean, it's amazing how these people want to spend money when they come to a show. And the beauty with opening for a tribute band is they typically don't have merch. Are you going to buy a Motley Crue tribute CD, or are you going to buy a Motley Crue? You're going to buy the Motley Crue version.
Oh yeah.
So when we're there as an original artist with CDs, ours is the one that sells. So.
Oh, and I forgot to mention Ace Frehley too. They've opened up for Ace Frehley. That's pretty good.
We was with Ace Frehley a few months back, and that was a definite dream come true. I got to get a quick picture with him, so that was pretty cool.
I'm surprised he even did that.
No, he was cool about it. I told him that lifelong fan, honored to open. Can I get a quick picture? He said, sure.
That's awesome.
As I was. Yeah, it was cool.
So I want your thoughts on, and it's even hard for me to say this because I don't know what's going on with this guy, but he seems like he's just flipped his lid. Is Vinnie Vincent.
Vinnie Vincent.
Man, I don't know what to do. Oh, I don't know.
I was so excited for his return because I do see Vinnie Vincent as this saving grace for Kiss back in the 80s. He helped write Creatures of the Night, which to me was a definite return to form for them. And then my favorite Kiss album of all time is Revenge. And Vinnie co-wrote a lot of those songs. I was super excited about it. And then it was the biggest failure ever. I mean, the fact that he came out looking like a female, I found strange, but I can
Yes.
get over that. But he keeps canceling these shows. And the last one I saw, they were the Speedball Bash or whatever they were calling it in Nashville.
Yes.
And he guaranteed it would not get canceled, and it did. But did you hear why it got canceled?
No, I did not
Low
hear.
ticket sales. Do you know why?
Probably because him canceling all the
The
shows.
venue only holds 60 people. They'd only sold 12 tickets because they were $300 each.
Wow.
What?
Jeez.
What?
Jeez.
So yeah.
I did hear him do supposedly a guitar shred solo for his birthday, and it was horrible. I don't know if that was actually him or not. I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying what I heard. If that was him, I hope it wasn't.
It's such a shame if so. I hope not.
You know the one I'm talking about? The shred. Did you hear the
No, I
guitar
didn't
playing?
hear it.
Oh,
I didn't hear it.
Yeah. I hope that's not him.
Well, when he played that thing with Gene that day, he kind of didn't really play a lot. He kind of let Gene play, and he would just kind of hold his guitar, then strike a quick click, and it definitely had an odd feel to it.
I hope he gets his stuff straight. Mm-hmm. And seeing him for the first time in a long time, I kind of got sick. I was like, oh, what's the deal?
A little strange.
But, hey, to each is their own. So what is Downtrend bringing to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, possibly? I mean, I know no one's reinventing the wheel. What are you guys adding to that wheel?
Well, kind of like I mentioned earlier, we have kind of a Southern groove thing, we feel like. Heavy Leonard Skinner kind of sound, I think. Like I said, the harmonica player and stuff like that. It's a little bit different. It's still heavy. It's raunchy, but I do think it stands us apart. I think if you had 5 bands play at a local night in any city USA, you're gonna say, "Hey, that one band was awesome." Which band? The one that had the harmonica. I think that definitely pulls us out of the pack a little bit, and we're kind of proud of that.
I want to go back and ask this too. I know you mentioned you had some more albums out, like your previous 2 first ones.
We had Novation come out in 2010. I
Right.
want to say. One Stop Sin Shop in 2013, Southern Fried Hell Ride Live 2015-ish, and then Downtrend 4.
So I want to throw this out there for the very first one. Could you ever see you guys going back and taking a song off that and re-recording it?
Yes. I've actually thought really hard about doing an acoustic version of Liar.
Okay.
Liar is possibly one of our top 3 most popular songs. It fell out of the set for a few years because we wanted to go more driving and heavy. Mm-hmm. Typically when you're opening for someone else, your set's going to be about 30 minutes, 5-6 songs. You kind of don't want to bring it down with the kind of ballad-ish tone, even though it's a heavy ballad. It's anyone that's heard the song knows it's not sappy. It's definitely heavy. But we've performed that acoustic. I sing it myself, and I'm not a good singer, but I sing it acoustically myself all the time at the house, and it really transfers well. Totally thought about stepping in the studio and doing an acoustic version of Liar. I think it'd really kick ass.
Acoustic stuff I like.
And that's what John would be all about that.
I just think it brings a band's musical taste out more. I think it shows their diversity.
Well, some people try to say, well, if you can't play it acoustic, then it's not that good, and this and that. And I heard something awesome the other day. I was listening to a podcast with Dee Snider, and Dee was talking about how he hates when people act like metal musicians aren't good musicians because they don't play it acoustically. And Dee was like, these acoustic guys, your Tracy Chapmans of the world, he said, let's see them ride the lightning one time and see how they do it. Let's see if they can shred a guitar. They can't. So it goes both ways, man. Music's, like I said earlier, it's a painting. We all paint in our own style,
So when you're coming into the recording studio, do you like to do anything differently that helps you relax or lets you get away to keep your mind fresh and open to not get bored with it?
If you're getting bored playing music, it's time to quit. Mm-hmm. I will say that first and foremost. And I preach that to the band. Look, if you're not having fun, step aside because music's fun. And if it's not fun anymore, don't do it. I'm definitely not bored in the studio. I will say, this is not exactly answering your question, but a pet peeve of mine is people who will rehearse a song one way and then get in the studio and change it. If it was fucking better the other way, then why didn't you do it the way the whole time? Why change it last second because you're in the studio now? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
That irks me. So if I'm in the studio with someone and I hear it's something slightly different, I'm just like, ugh, what the fuck? I don't know where I'm at now. I don't like that. But that's just me being me. That's a personal preference. But no, I typically go in the studio. I like to feel like I know the song. I don't believe in getting in the studio and working a song out. There's no time for that in the recording studio. If you're Zach Wild and the studio's in your house and you're writing and recording at the same time, that's totally different. It's in your house. You're writing and recording at the same time. But when you're paying for studio time, you can't go in there and not have the songs already written out and knowing exactly what you're going to play and when.
Right. if one song takes you 3 days to record, then there's something very, very wrong.
Exactly. Well, like I said earlier, these songs are essentially 75% live demo. I'll go ahead and tell you, we played The Battle Lost 3 times. That's the totally all new song. We played Roll the Credits 1 time. That's 1 take on that song. Now, we did go in, like I said, an overdub, put the vocals in separately, things like that. But as far as the actual meat of the song, we did Wasted twice. And we did Back for More, which was a song that was recorded actually in 2018. It was recorded during a different session. But we did it, I think twice. We recorded that one. And, if a band can't go in there and do it in under 5 takes, just leave. That's my opinion on that. I mean, especially if you're going to record that style of live demoing. I mean, if you want to go in there and track a more modern way of recording, which is nothing wrong with that. That's the modern way to do it. That's the modern model. But you got to know what you're going to play before. You can't just be improvising in there, in my opinion.
So it's been a while since I've got to talk to you about all this stuff. So what can fans expect at a show from Downtrend now, Josh, when they come to see you guys live, who have not got to see you guys live as of yet?
Oh, well, we're getting older, so you probably can expect backache, a definite stiff neck the next day from head banging.
Arthritis.
Yeah, we're going to move a lot slower. Me and Mike have gained a lot of weight. We're going to move a lot slower for sure. Jeremy's lost weight. He has a bad back. He's still going to move slow. No, I'm just kidding. We give a lot of energy. We're proud of that. We don't phone any show in. I mentioned earlier that we're more selective, but that doesn't mean we're phoning anything in. If we play and there's 10 people there, and it happens, you're going to get as hard a show as you're going to get if there's 500 there, because we don't phone anything. We enjoy playing music. If you enjoy playing music, as a guitar player and as a musician and as a performer, I start headbanging before I even know I'm headbanging. I'll watch a video back and I'm like, oh my God, like no wonder my hat flew off my head right there. And the next day I'll be bitching for, about my neck hurting. And my wife's just like, really? Well, you headbanged for 25 minutes last night. Like, what do you expect? But we do bring a lot of energy. We always have, and we always will. Because if we're not bringing the live energy, then we'll stop.
I want to ask you this because I think this is really cool of a question, especially locally. Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Downtrend gets support from, or your music even gets played in? Have you seen anything kind of out there on the net wise?
I don't beat it to death, but I can go in. I don't have access, long story short, when we were signed, we loved the record label. They were great, but the first album, Novation, is released through the record label. We don't have rights to that. We play the songs, we sell the CDs, whatever, but I don't have access to seeing the analytics of that album. Like, I don't know how many sold. I don't know, whatever. One Stop Sin Shop was released through the record label. We gave them full credit for it. But at the same time, the relationship had soured to where they knew we were very unhappy. And when the CD finished, he literally reached me, the master, and said, here you go. So from that point forward, Josh Crum has managed Downtrend from a standpoint of like all of that stuff after that. So when it went into distribution, I did that, not the record label. Even though it says Vision Metal Records on it, I essentially was given the CD. I really, so everything, what I'm getting at is everything from One Stop Sin Shop forward, I can see the analytics of, I can see which songs are getting played the most on Spotify or iTunes. I can see how many sales from that album forward. I don't beat it to death. I don't look at that stuff a lot, but I will tell you, when you click on there and you see someone spinning Downtrend in Denmark or someone over in the UK, you're just kind of like, how the hell do they even know who we are in Denmark? How do they find this? But they're playing it, so I'll take it. Maybe it's through BODS Mayhem Hour. I don't know.
Of course.
It's definitely a great feeling to see the reach. But, like I said, I don't beat that to death either. I do go in on the occasion. I'll go in and look at what songs are most popular and kind of tailor the set list to it sometimes. We hadn't played, I'll give you a great example of that. We haven't played She's Lightning, which is on our first record, Novation, in years. And, you can do this for any artist. You can do this for your favorite band. If you go on iTunes, it'll say most popular, tracks by that artist. I noticed She's Lightning was number 1 for us, so threw it back in the set list, and it's been killing it. So it's a song that we kind of forgotten about and moved on from. But I was like, man, this song's getting a lot of plays on our iTunes page. Like, we should play this more often,
I've always said that internet has its good things and its bad things, but if for a band it can help you out, then more power to you.
Totally.
That's for sure. That is for sure. Do you have a go-to album or song that just lets you escape when you were young, or even so today? Do you possibly
from another art, like something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, anyone that knows me knows what a Randy Rhoads freak I am.
I figured that.
It's unforgiving. I've been that way since I was 13. I first got into guitar when I heard C.C. DeVille and Chuck Berry, to be 100% honest. But when I heard Randy Rhoads, it got real. I was about 12 or 13. And that summer, I got like a Randy Rhoads watch, 2 T-shirts, posters on my wall. And I've never looked back. But it's so messed up. Like, I think about this all the time. To this day, I get inspiration from Randy Rhoads' guitar playing. I just do. I can't explain it. I can pop on Diary of a Madman right now, and I'm just like, fuck, he is the greatest of all time. To me, he was such a shredder and a virtuoso player, but he never let that overtake his melody. He still had melody and feel. It's hard to have both. You have a lot of shredders. You have a lot of people that play with feel. You got, Yngwie Malmsteen was a shredder. David Gilmour's got feel. Like, Randy Rhoads is both to me. He pulls them together. But he inspires me a lot, and he was so young when he passed, and I'm just like, man, like, if I could ever be that good at age 60 as to what he was at 24, when they recorded Blizzard of Oz, I think he was 23 years old. It's unreal. Jeez. Unreal player.
Like Cliff Burton, that's the way Cliff Burton is with me. I'm just a huge Cliff Burton fan. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. But I still get inspiration. When I listen to Randy, I still want to go become a better player, 100%.
Folks, this EP 4 comes out September 13th.
Pick up a copy.
Yep, you want to pick this copy up.
Please.
Josh, how can he do that? Stay in touch with you guys, tour dates. And what else do you have coming up right now? Any more shows coming up?
Yeah, I wanted to mention this. We do have a CD release party coming up October the 5th. So, of course, it's not on release day because the venue was booked. But that is going to be at the Listening Room in Whitesburg, Kentucky. We'll be performing live, and the albums will, of course, be for sale there. We're going to have another band with us. We don't know who yet. We're going to try and find some young band who kind of up and coming in the area who maybe can open for us and get the crowd warmed up. We plan on playing a long set, longer than we typically do when we open for someone else. So it'll be fun. It's always fun to play local, too. We don't get to do that very often. So we do have that to look forward to. The album, like I said, the album release itself is September 13th. We do have a YouTube page. Follow us on there. We have all your media outlets. You got YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. ReverbNation.com/downtrend. We typically have been using that for our actual website. It's got tour dates on it. It's got, videos, music, all of it linked on there already. So, but yeah, we're excited for it, man. We really are. A new album always feels like a new chapter of your life. It feels like a chapter closing, actually, because now it's like on to the next.
Right, I can see that.
We've already, especially me and Jeremy, our bass player Jeremy Chaney, who I've played with since I was like 13 years old or 14, and we've already been talking about new stuff. I've written some new riffs and sent it to him. He digs them. He's written some riffs and sent it to me. We had a few songs essentially almost written that were never finished that Downtrend as a whole has worked on that we're excited about. There's one in particular that I come through my skin thinking about this song, how much I like it. Cannot wait to get it recorded. And long story short, we had it written almost essentially completely finished. And that's when Mike quit for like a year there because of his job. He just simply couldn't be in the band anymore. And the song kind of fell to the wayside. And now Mike's back. Kind of forgot about it, to be honest. And we worked on this. And now that this is out, we're kind of looking for the next step, the next project. And we were talking about that song that was like that we loved so much that it's never got completely finished. And definitely excited to get back to that one. It's got a lot of groove to it.
As always, good sir, before I let you out of here, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Absolutely. Hey, this is Josh Crum from Downtrend, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Get it.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and soon our Twitch link. But most importantly, please subscribe and like our YouTube page. Everything and anything BODS Mayhem Hour will be going up on our YouTube page, so be sure to check that out. Also, get out and check out Downtrend. Pick up their new EP that's coming out September 13th entitled 4. Do not give up on this band, folks. They've been around for a very long time. Check out their stuff. Good stuff from these folks.
We do have, if I don't jumping on you, John, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We do have physical copies for sale on our website at www.downtrend.bigcartel.com. Of course, they won't be there till September the 13th, but they will be for sale in physical format online also. And at Mountain Music Exchange, if you're local, they'll have copies there.
Josh, my brother, I wish you guys nothing but the best as always.
Thank you, kind sir.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.